Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to round 7 of the North American Grand Prix GT2 Championship. Coming to you live from the Slovakia ring. This is our first visit here to Slovakia and this twisty technical layout with some fast sweeping corners, some tricky tight corners, and an interesting jump here right before turn 10 that should really make for some hairy racing here tonight. But before we get any further, I want to introduce my partner here as usual here on Monday nights for GT2, Brad Maris. Brad, welcome, and thanks again for joining the broadcast.
Always happy to be here, Al. Yep, partner in crime. Always look forward to it, and you're absolutely right. An interesting track mix tonight. I think we'll see some gaps open up on this track as setup's going to be pretty key around here. You know, the guys that have put in the practice and have learned these lines on this rather tricky track are going to have more speed over those that don't.
Yeah, well, we're seeing early on some indication here that Tiago Canola, after a tough week last week, is back up to speed here with times in the 203s. We're assuming that's race pace. That's pretty quick for him in that Porsche. David Pohl currently leading the way here in practice 1 with a 203.4. Dave Canavan also up there in the top 3. So the Ferrari looking good, the Porsche looking strong as always, and the Astons as well looking good.
Yeah, indeed. And you mentioned David Canavan. They're currently 3rd on our timesheets. David Canavan really does kind of need a lift, sitting 5th in the overall championship points at the moment, but kind of an off season from what David Canavan ordinarily expects. Hasn't really come to grips with this F458 yet, but looking maybe perhaps a little bit better here tonight and looking for a good result.
We're expecting the race to go about 28 laps, as we mentioned earlier. This is our first run here in Slovakia. Another new track. Golden Port was our first new visit for GT2 earlier this season, and now Slovakia. This was one a lot of guys were looking forward to on the schedule. Some mixed reviews here early on as far as this track layout, but you know, some tracks that typically aren't too popular end up being some of our most memorable races. So we'll find out here before the night's through how this one's going to pan out.
Yeah, that's a great point, Al. It does seem to happen a lot that way. It's just a tough track to figure out what lines are the quickest around this place, and if these guys haven't put in some practice to figure out what those are, they're going to be a bit more off pace than others. And you mentioned the jump around here. There is a pretty big drop off over one of these little humps, as you mentioned, by turn 10. But you know, it shouldn't affect them too much in terms of handling or coming off the jump squirrely. But you can lose a lot of speed over that thing if those suspensions aren't pretty stiff. So that's something else these guys will perhaps have addressed on this course. One of the many challenges out there.
Well, that's a good point you bring up about car setup. How do you approach that? I mean, is it a situation where you have to adjust the car for that particular part of the track, or do you, set your focus on the rest of the track, the way these corners are laid out?
Well, actually, that's a good point, and I've had the opportunity to get a few laps around here. Basically, raising the car up is going to be the first best thing to do in situations like that, but this is overall more of a downforce type track, and you raise that ride height up and you're sure going to ruin some of that downforce for you. So Yeah, you're absolutely right. They could add some packers to these things. They could stiffen up the suspension some. But for overall speed, I reckon probably a little bit lower ride height to gain the best downforce may be the best approach.
Well, we got a few minutes, minute here before qualifying. I'm going to bring in Marco Conti here. Marco's having a great season here in GT2. Marco, you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Marco, to the broadcast. Just want to congratulate you so far this season in GT2. We've talked about you quite a bit throughout the season. What a great job you're doing so far in that Lamborghini. How's it feeling for you tonight here at Slovakia?
Feels pretty good. It would feel even better if I were a couple of seconds faster per lap. But so far, I'm feeling pretty good. I feel this track. I like the track. It's like you know, a roller coaster. And you know, another second, maybe not 2 seconds, but another second, I would be really, really happy.
Yeah, well, speaking of being maybe a little off the pace, Marco, your pace here isn't looking too bad there. You're running mid-05s at the moment, it looks like, and looking through the past results here from the previous races, I see that you scored points in every single race so far, so obviously learning to keep it on track very well. Maybe not as many points as you would expect. You see yourself advancing your position here consistently in the upcoming seasons?
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, right now it's very unusual for me to actually score points in every race. You know, knock on wood here. And the past seasons, basically, I was trying to make the top 20. Actually, the first season I was just happy to be here. Then after that, I was trying to make the top 20 and not always succeeding. And then finally, you know, it started to get realistic that I could at least go for points, maybe not many, and so I'm happy about that. I mean, you know, obviously you go on track to win, but it's tough in this league. This league has some great drivers, you know, and I race all over the place, and let me tell you, these guys are tough.
Well, you're top 10 in the points. I know it's qualifying now, so we don't want to keep you, but good luck tonight, and good luck in qualifying, and in the race we'll be keeping our eye out for you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Okay.
Keep up the good job.
Well, there you have
Yeah,
it.
certainly. Good luck to Marco here tonight, and yeah, he's been putting in a fantastic season. We are in qualifying here, but just wanted to mention again, Marco Conti sitting 10th overall in championship points, so really looking pretty good.
Yeah, he is looking very good, and you know, since the start of the season, Bathurst, he ran well. His best finish so far was actually at Zhuhai in those wet conditions. He had a great run there. He scored 10 points. Had a nice finish at Hockenheim, so yeah, he's in the top 10 in the points, and I'm sure he's pretty excited about that. And take a quick look at the track conditions. Ooh, the track it's hot, but it's wet. So, you know, I'm thinking these guys may be able to get away with the soft, with the conditions the way they are. They may be able to get away with the soft slicks. What do you think, Brad?
Well, it's a possibility. All I can tell you, Al, is with this heat, they're going to have trouble if they do use some of the damp or wet treaded tires because of the track length. And the track length is going to add some extra heat into those tires as they come around for a timed lap. They're looking at, in the wet here, some 2-minute 10 to 12-minute laps, I'm going to guess. So that wet rubber is going to be getting pretty hot by the time they finish up that timed lap.
Well, I just checked the track record. It's a 2:02.6 by Nick Johnston in, I would assume, in practice or qualifying. But I have a feeling, I have a suspicion that we're not going to see a new record set here tonight, given the conditions the way they are. Unless, of course, it dries up pretty quickly.
And, you know, that's another thing. We have these wet conditions, and it's always kind of up in the air as to what kind of times we're going to see it. But it's also, like you say, a track we haven't run before. It's always hard to tell how quickly these types of new tracks are going to dry out, how the grip level's going to change. So it could be wet for a while out there, could dry out quickly. It's always hard to tell, and these guys are going to find out.
So David Paul about to start his hop lap. He's this long, sweeping right-hand final corner. onto the front straight. And we'll ride along with Dave, and hopefully he can keep it on track and give you guys an idea of what the track layout is like. So on board with Dave as he turns on his lights to let the guys who aren't on a hot lap know he's on a screen. So you see turn 1 as a slight right-hander over the hill to turn 2, and this is when things start to get a little more tight here. Second long straight. And now we're into the infield section.
Yeah, real descending radius corner here. There's a few of these on this track.
We saw some chatter on the forum regarding how some of these guys are going to approach this track, not comfortable with the way some of these corners are, like you mentioned, the descending radius corners. So a lot of guys aren't not their favorite type of corners, but this track seems to have a lot of those. Dave approaching now the big jump here before turn 10. You hear the car get all light and then boom, smashing off the ground.
Yeah, you know, I didn't hear a big loss of speed there though, Al. So whatever David's done to help him with that, I think he's done it relatively well. There's no way to avoid it entirely, but it sounds like that one held pretty good speed over that. You know, one more thing as we look at this qualifying session here, about 5 minutes have run off, and David Poole is just now coming up to turn in this first-time lap, but the conditions are going to be changing. This track's going to get faster. When it comes down to it, they're going to have one lap here at the end to put in their best time. So it's going to be a lot of pressure on these guys. David's in.
So Dave checks in with a 2:10.5. We'll see where Canola is. He's about to complete his lap, and he's going to take pole with a 2:09.4. Johnston.
Yeah, that's going to set the early bar.
Yeah, as you mentioned, we probably won't see a pole lap until the very last second here, as the track looks like it's going to dry out as the conditions the way they are. These guys may just get quicker and quicker as the session progresses.
Yeah, well, they most certainly will. I think there'd be a few guys that would actually prefer the wet conditions. I'm watching a guy now around on his hot lap, David Canavan, who might actually prefer just overall wet conditions. His Ferrari and Pirelli tires perform very well in the wet.
He's a bit behind now. He's about 2 seconds off Canola's pace, so Dave may have made a mistake somewhere. Checking the leaderboard, Marty Urine checks in. He's in the top 3. Christian Hamilton in 4th. Rich Roman filling in tonight in the Lamborghini. I believe he's filling in for Johnny Lugnut, who is out. Monahan in the Mercedes, currently running in P10.
Yeah, David Canavan is on soft slicks, I believe, Al. He's running around for another lap here. If he were on some type of intermediate or wet weather tire, I don't think that they would have held up temperature-wise. So the fact that David Canavan is getting a second lap here tells me that he's almost certainly on the soft slicks.
Over the jump. So he's also a bit off. He may be on the soft slicks as well. There's a fine line sometimes during these conditions. Sometimes you can get away with the soft slicks. Other time the way to go is with the intermediates. So it look like the intermediates are the tire of choice at the moment.
Yeah, and again, this is a new track, so these guys don't quite know what the conditions are going to be like on this particular track in these conditions. We're at Spa or some other place that have a better idea of the type of tires they could use for a particular condition. So it's some guesswork, but it's going to be guesswork lap to lap. They're going to go out on a particular tire choice, perhaps some particular suspension settings, and by the next lap they're going to have to change them because of the drying conditions.
So Mikey Monahan's no improvement, stays in 13th. Bjorn Heyman currently in P15 in the Pirelli shop Ferrari. That should be a good car in these moist conditions here. Pirelli a decent tire here in the wet. However,
yeah, certainly, and it looks like there is still some.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say it does look like there is still a decent amount of spray out there. So as David Kahneman goes off in the last corner.
Going back to what I was going to say, the Pirellis are pretty good in the wet. However, the Yokohamas or the Dunlops are probably a little bit better in the wet over the Pirellis and the Michelin. So.
Yeah, that's certainly true, Al. But you know, it holds true mainly on the full treaded rubber and somewhat on the intermediates as well. So if these guys run down toward the end here and they all get on the slick tires, and that'll pretty much even that out.
So the track conditions has changed to damp. Nick Johnston, back in 23rd, has yet to set a qualifying time. So Nick his pole position streak here. Well, he's had pole in 5 of the 6 races here tonight, here this season. So it's like he might have his hands full in that paint house here tonight. But don't be surprised if he does end up putting that car on pole. But he is yet to start his hot lap, so we'll jump on with somebody else.
Yeah, Nick Johnston carrying a small boat anchor in the trunk as well of that car, so that's not going to help from success ballast, prior success ballast.
Right along with Chris Moses, he's about to complete his hot lap in the BMW P6.
I would expect an improvement here over his 212.6, but I'm wrong.
You're wrong. Yep, still remains at 7th. Rich Roman currently P10 in that Lamborghini. He must have had an offer, so
yeah.
He's way off the pace.
Didn't get a chance to talk with Marco in the sister Lamborghini much. I was going to ask him. Well, it should be a very good car around this track. One of the stronger performers, I should think. So, hopefully Marco will be in for some good racing here tonight. It's fun to chat with him.
Yeah, hopefully we didn't put the old curse on him. But I should mention Salem Montgomery Jr. currently sitting at 12th, and the Jaguar. So Salem looking good here early on. Mikey Monahan still running in 14th. John Houston was up pretty high up in the practice standings. He's about to complete a hot lap.
You know, I think these guys went out on the intermediates or perhaps even the full wet tires, and you know, they've switched over seeing the conditions have gone to damp, and nobody's been able to improve their time yet, certainly not at the top of the time sheets anyway. So I think that's what's going on here. They're going to have to get the track a little bit more dried out here yet before those slicks come on.
Houston has jumped up to P7, bumping Chris Moses. Chris Moses on a hot lap. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him, however. On a second off, I believe that is Tiago Canola up ahead.
Yeah, and John Houston, of course, you mentioned him having a great race last week for that TBROK Dam Bam team. Doing a nice job in the team championships and having a nice showing here as well.
Porsche might have slowed Chris up a little bit. Jumps up to P7. Esteban Palacio currently in P4. His teammate Mikey Monahan. He backs out. Mikey Monahan wasn't too thrilled about the Mercedes around here. Dave Rowley in P5 in the Ford GT.
Always a great qualifier is David Rowley. I should think that Ford GT would be a pretty good performer around this track. I think, Al, that we're going to start seeing the times come down over the next couple laps here. Looks like the spray's starting to dry up a little bit. I'm seeing a few guys getting a little closer and closer to those best sector times we've seen set over the first lap. Yeah, an interesting qualifying session. It's always a bit of added pressure, knowing the track's going to dry out, but still wanting to put yourself in position in case you don't happen to get that good lap in. You still don't want to really tumble down the timesheets.
Looks like Rowley's really slinging that Ford around, and he's slung it into the wall. Bang.
Well, go big or go home is what it's usually like for David Rowley, and he'll get another chance to go big.
I'll pull with Marty Uret. Looking strong in the Aston Martin here. He's got Solberger up ahead of him in that Camaro.
You know, there's still some grip on line, but I'm seeing these guys just barely get off that line, and but there's just no grip out there at all. I think the grip on the line is pretty good, but we've talked about how difficult it is to maintain that line through some of these tricky corners.
Marty's sector time, not sure where he is right now at that second split. Yeah, you can still really see a lot of spray here. The track's drying out. Starting to get a bit of a toe off that Camaro. And he jumps up to P2, so our times are starting to drop. Marty with a 2:10.2.
Yeah, a couple guys languishing here a bit. David Canavan, we know he's going to have good speed around here. He's going to want to get it in gear. Just 9 minutes left to go here in qualifying one. As mentioned, Nick Johnston has finally put in a lap. I was going to mention him. He has missed 3 or 4 laps sliding off track, but he finally got one in and goes to 4th.
Aaron Parsons sitting at P7 right now. We're on board with him. He is just over a 10th off in Sector 1. Keep our eye on him here. Viper appears to be pretty competitive here tonight.
Indeed it does, Al, and I think a little bit more than I might have expected on this track, but obviously it's got enough room to stretch its legs out here and there to make it competitive.
Parsons over that job. It sounded like he actually lifted a little bit. And he's down a second and lost a lot of time in that middle sector.
Yeah, you know, it's possible in the wet that they may have to lift a little bit over that, Al, or it could upset the car a little bit. Not 100% on that, but it's a possibility.
This final right-hand corner is just so long and difficult.
Yeah, it really makes a difference, that overall lap time. Absolutely right, Al. It's very tricky.
Parsons improves to P4, bumps Nick Johnston. His teammate, John Houston, currently running in P9. Marco Conti, currently in the top 10, running in P10, so it looks like he's found a bit of speed in that Lambo.
Keeping an eye on Tiago as he approaches the first split time here. He's a little off, just a couple tenths. But I think those slicks are finally starting to work a little bit. Time's running out. These guys are only going to get a couple more laps in here. Got 7 minutes to go.
Connie was about half a second off in sector 1. Big lurch out of that Lambo. That's going to cost him a little bit of time.
Tiago was pushing hard, but got a little off the groove and spun it there in sector 2.
Approached the jump. That definitely sounded like Marco lit off. Marco down 2.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught it. Looks like Marty Uren has gone to second. Is that? Did I just miss that?
Yeah, he bumped pole about a lap ago. Marco jumps up to 8th. So bumps Chris Moses on right now in the top 10. That Canola might have made a mistake. He's a little bit off.
Yeah, had a spin in the second sector. Got a little off the groove.
On board with David Poole. David currently in 3rd.
Oh boy. Well, we're coming down to it now. It's pretty slick off that groove. I think there is some speed if you can manage to stay on it, but it's, boy, it's going to be tough on these guys, I think.
David 8 tenths off through sector 2. He may be able to pick up a bit of time here at the end. Ooh, Dave with a big lurch and loses it. Johnston.
Tiago's half a second up through the first split. Almost spun it though. Sorry, Al.
Johnson spun it. Ooh, and Tiago gets out of it. Not sure why, but he's out.
Yeah, I think he realized that he's just he was going to lose too much speed. I think he's going to try to get out quickly and run 2 more laps here with just 4.5 minutes to go. Well, he wants to get 2 good timed laps in here at the end. Or 1, excuse me. Yeah, he wants to make sure he gets 1 more good timed lap here.
George Alba and John Watson yet to set a lap. Not sure what's going on with those guys.
So, guys, coming to the stripe now with enough fuel to take 2 laps. We'll get 2 laps in. Guys in the pits will have to exit right now if they want to get 1 timed lap in. Tiago is still, he's just now leaving the pits.
Hardy, about 7 tenths off in the second split.
Chris Moses showed some great speed in practice. He got that BMW Alpino running pretty well, but a little off the pace here, still in 11th.
No improvement for Mark. On board with Parsons, currently sitting in P4. Wheel on the grass, don't think that hurt him too much.
John Houston up into 6th at the moment, Al.
I'll tell you what, a lot of these guys are really struggling through that middle sector. They got decent first sector times, and then, man, they lose it all in the middle.
Yeah, that's where all the real twisties are, some of the real tough corners. Chris Moses has parked it, Al. He is done. He is going to qualify no better than 11th, and I suspect he's going to fall a few places beyond that even.
Ooh, and it looks like Parsons may have followed that Mercedes off the track. I've been fixated on that Mercedes up ahead and just drove it off with it. It's one thing you never do is do what the guy in front of you is doing.
Yeah, Aaron not typically known for that. Usually does a good job driving his own line, but it happens to everybody now and then. Keeping an eyeball on Marty Urin coming up to his second split, and he is well off of the pace through his second split. Thiago Canola coming in to start his hot lap. This is going to be Canola's last shot here with a minute and a half to go.
Canavan just recovering from a spin. He is struggling. And Rich Romick back in 20th. Shocked to see that.
Yeah, real surprise. Rich did get a decent amount of prep for this race. Not as much as some of these guys, but certainly had more than enough laps to qualify better than 20th.
Rich is familiar with this car. He drove it quite a bit last season in a fill-in role with Racing, but he's struggling here tonight.
Taking a look at Canavan there in P15, currently coming up to his first sector split. And he is 1/100th of a second faster than the current pole time. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to get this lap in though, Al. It's going to be close. And if you didn't catch it, Juan Monroy has jumped to P2 provisionally.
Wow, Monroy with a 209.5. We're on board with Canola. 15 seconds left. Canola with a big slide off the jump. And he's up over half a second there in Sector 2. So he's got a great time.
Well, you watch Thiago Canola. David Canavan was up on that pole time, but had a spin in Sector 2. He's done.
That's unfortunate for Dave. Might have been looking at his gap. Saw that negative number pop up and threw it off track.
Yeah, you could be absolutely right about that, Al.
Canola looks like he's going to improve, and he does big time with a 208.5. Monroy's done. Marty Uren. Not sure if he's going to be able to get it in. It's going to be really close. Looks like everybody else in the top 5 has parked it.
David Rowley is coming up to the line here, currently in 10th. Oh, excuse me, is the wrong part of the track, Al.
Marty to the line. Ooh! Don't know if he would have. He may have had second, but time runs out.
Well, that was exciting. And, I see Rich Roman did pop up the timesheets there to 15th, bumping David Canavan back to 16th. Big news, Chris Moses out a little earlier than he would want. He's going to start 14th. John Houston, however, will start 8th. So a great run for John Houston, and this is really going to mix things up for a race, Al.
Wow, yeah, definitely. Nick Johnston back in 7th. So Nick struggling here tonight in these wet conditions. So he mentioned that he was going to struggle a bit here at this track with the Panos, and boy, was he ever right.
Saw Simon Goodwin just got in here for Quali 2. Unfortunately, they couldn't quite make it back for the start of qualifying, as they were, in most part, checking out some racing action up there in the north. Hope they had a good time up there, he and teammate Drew Lidke.
So it looks like Watson finally managed to set a time, but man, is he off 2:27.2, and Alba way back with a 2:28. So I'm not sure what's up with those guys. Another Kevin Savoy back in 26 with a 2:16. So Savoy, big name, unbelievable qualifier. I don't know, just couldn't get it together here tonight in qualifying.
Yeah, I suspect these guys didn't get much wet practice, and given the nature of the track combined with that lack of a wet practice, I think really caught some guys out. Obviously, there's a few names back there you simply wouldn't expect to see.
So we're just in qualifying 2, waiting for some guys to jump in here, and then we'll be off to the warm-up portion.
Yeah, so I think by extension of what we've seen in qualifying, I think we could expect most of these guys not really hoping to see the wet stuff come down for the race here.
So this is playing into the hands of Canola. So we should go back real quick to last week. Canola at Hockenheim, out in lap 1, got hit from behind. Lost his rear clip, and on his way back, his rear wing, I should say, on the way back to the pits, he lost it and totaled the car. So he was done, his first DNF of the season, and that really hurt him. And but he's got this bonus point for pole, and he's starting up in the front. His closest rival, Aaron Parsons, back in 5th, but I'll tell you what, we should see Parsons probably on the podium here tonight, regardless of where he starts.
Well, it's a possibility. I think Juan Monroy actually there in 2nd. Great qualifying effort for him. I think Juan will have some pretty decent pace, and he's the type of guy that generally will get a little faster as the race goes on, as he gets more laps in. Marty Wren and David Poole are not going to be any slouches around here either. David Poole showing some great pace, qualifying there just ahead of Aaron in 4th. But yeah, to go back real quickly to that incident with Tiago in that first lap, that really tightened things up in this team championship for these guys. Nick Johnston did move up into 2nd place, and Aaron Parsons took over that championship lead. So Tiago definitely has the speed, but now with some extremely fast veteran guys in front of him, it's going to be a test here over the course of our last 5 races starting tonight.
Well, we have a minute here in warm-up. Let's run down the team championship real quick. We have Aaron Parsons leading the way with 114 points, followed by Nick Johnston, as you mentioned, moved up to P2 in the championship after Canola's misfortune last week. He's currently second with 101 points, and Chris Moses with the win last week jumps up to 3rd with 100 points. Top 3 is pretty close, and not out of reach for those, for Johnston and Moses. Canola currently in 4th with 93 points, and Canavan sitting in 5th, a little further back with 70.
You know, it's not really outside of a possibility at all. Guys you think may not have much of a shot. We look at David Canavan with those 70 points in 5th. You know, it only takes one DNF here from a guy in front to really change the order around on these things. So you just never know what's going to happen. And in the team championship, even more so. A couple guys drop out, and well, there you go. We unfortunately had a little bit of a problem with that ourselves in GT1 at the very last race last season. So that stuff can change around quickly.
And the team championship, Precision Motor, this is pretty tight. Precision Motor Racing leading the way with 130 points, followed by T-Brock Dam Bam GT2. That's Aaron Parsons and John Houston. They have 125 points. Adrenaline Taxi Service, that's Canola and Greg Myers. They are in 3rd with 110. 05 Motorsports sitting in 4th with 107. And ISA Racing, that is Nick Johnston and Sam Wolf. They're in 5th with 101, and actually Elite Motorsports right behind with 100 points. They're in 6th. That's Canavan and Christian Hamilton. So, as we've seen, the team championships really, the standings really fluctuate week to week. So, Another race and another big night for the team second drivers here. They are really going to need to perform here and score some points.
Yeah, and the team championship is extremely close. This one is a doozy. No fewer than 7 teams are really well and truly in this thing. So this is going to be one that I've been keeping my eye on, and we'll keep a close eye on the rest of the way, because I think this is going to come down to the wire for these guys. And 7 teams are going to be fighting for this thing. I think that's going to start to become a real focus for some of these guys, really trying to figure out how they're going to gain advantage in that classification.
Well, I'd just like to let everybody know that NAGP TV now has we've set up a YouTube page, so all of the broadcasts going back all of this season, and actually one from last season, unfortunately, GT2 race, they will all be uploaded to YouTube, so feel free to watch it. Watch those races commercial free, and after each season we do have to remove the races from the live stream host to free up some space, so that will be your place to watch any of these old race replays, race broadcasts, both GT2 and GT1. So.
Yeah, and I personally would like to thank the crack NAGP staff. Al, that would be you, for coordinating that. Thank you so much.
Well, anytime. It was just a matter of time. But also, we're on, many of you people that use Facebook, we're also on Facebook, North American Grand Prix Sim Racing League. Just search for us. There's a link on the main page as well, if you feel the need.
So, this is going to be one heck of a racer out. There are going to be some guys that have quite a bit of speed. I think trying to some guys that perhaps don't have so much. It's hard to say how this track is going to go for passing. There's a lot of opportunities to pass around here, but a lot of dangerous spots. Again, we saw even Aaron Parsons follow a guy off the track. I think that I think we're going to see some action. Put it that way.
Yes, braking's going to be huge here. Some of these guys saving their braking a little too late. We saw it a bit in qualifying. As you mentioned, Parsons went off. So a lot of guys run wide and off the track. And if the conditions are slick, even more so. So we're just about to finish warm-up here, and then we're off to the races.
Yeah, I saw Simon Goodwin make it in. I know that Drew Lidke was going to try to make it back from that most port as well, but I don't see him there on timing and scoring, so unfortunately I don't think Drew was able to make it back quite in time. Well, bad luck for him in Cider Racing here tonight.
Bad luck indeed. One guy also notable missing here tonight, Jens Klempnauer. Unable to attend.
Ah, indeed.
But conditions are dry, 86-degree ambient temp, 95-degree track temp, so conditions look pretty good for the race. And here we go from pole. Tiago Canola starting second with a great run in the Gumpert. Juan Monroy. Marty Urin's going to start third, David Poole fourth, and Aaron Parsons in fifth.
Christian Hamilton put in a nice time to start sixth. Nick Johnston will start behind him in seventh. John Houston, good run to eighth. Esteban Palacio in ninth, and David Rowley in 10th.
Mikey Monahan up to 11th. Eric Marecki, a nice showing at 12th. Marco Conti 13th. Chris Moses 14th. Rich Roman starting 15th.
Starting just behind Rich, David Canavan is in 16th. Kevin Miller put in another good effort to 17th. Jack Ivey starts 18th. Bjorn Hemmen starts 19th, and John Solberger starts 20th.
Kevin Kevin Savoy, 21st. Salem Montgomery Jr., 22nd. Gov Douglas, 23rd. Brian Story, 24th. Greg Myers, 25th.
Chuck Carter starts 26th. John Wathen is in 27th. George Alba starts 28th. Curtis Chandler is in 29th. And Mike Greatrex starts 30th.
31st, John Wilson. 32nd, Simon Goodwin. Sam Rolfe, 33rd. And Laurent Vassman will be bringing up the rear at 34th. So we got almost a full house here tonight. It's going to be interesting. First few corners, I should say, they're pretty quick. So we'll have to see how these guys manage to handle this first lap.
Yeah, it's all about getting through the first lap or two clean, particularly the first corner. You know, you can't make all the corners if you don't get through the first one.
Well, we're about to go green. And we're off. David Poole looks like he got a great jump. Monroy as well. Looks like he's going to be able to motor Tiago into turn 1. Tiago's falling back to second. Monroy is going to lead the way. David Poole having a look on the inside. It's a little bit of the curb. Marty Urin had to check up. But holds that position from Parsons, who looked to take advantage. And Monroy really motoring away. He really got off to a great start. Nick Johnston having a look on the inside of Hamilton, and he makes the pass. Nice move by Johnston.
Things looking very tidy all through the grid here, Al. Everybody's doing a great job keeping it clean and keeping it on track.
Ooh, Monroy with a bit of a bobble. Oh, and Canola gets into the side of him, and Monroy's on his lid. Wow. So Monroy's going to have to wait for the field to go by. Ooh, with a little bit of a dicey re-entry, but he's back on track and back at 29th, and he has another spin, and it looks like Monahan might have got, so a tough start for Monroy. Wow.
Yeah, obviously having the pace here tonight, and boy, he's just going to have to settle down. He can get some positions back. He's just going to have to settle down and put his nose back down and get back after it.
I'll tell you
Big
what.
Poole out there won.
David Poole was the benefactor there. He took advantage and finds himself in P1. Canola behind Nick Johnston now in P5.
Yeah, and David Poole, I think, will have a little bit of pace on Marty Urin here. So, good opportunity.
Recchi up to 9th, I think, and Kevin Miller now up to P10. Moses and Canavan going at it.
Yeah, Kevin Miller showing his stuff here again. Great start for him. David Canavan and Chris Moses are going after it.
Side by side at the turn 1. It's like Chris Moses may have the advantage here going into 2. Power of that BMW, definitely.
Yeah, and I expect on overall lap times, these guys are going to be pretty close to each other, so this could be a fight we could see go on the whole race, Al. It's a possibility.
Kevin Miller all over the back of Marecki. These guys also having a good fight. Mikey Monahan, I believe that was Palacio that caught up with the Monroy's incident. Monahan running up in P8. John Houston now finds himself in P7 right behind the Ferrari of Christian Hamilton.
Looks like Kevin Savoy and Bjorn Hemmen have gotten together. Bjorn Hemmen has been put over the Armco out. He's going to search for a way back on track, but tough start for him.
George Jalba and Jack Ivey going at it. Jalba currently in 19th. Jalba started way back. He's made up quite a few positions. He's got Brian Story immediately behind him, and Sam Rolfe looks like he's just gone off in that Panos. Rowley got caught off. He's back at 22nd. Not sure what happened to him. Monroy back at 23rd. Man, he's got to be frustrated.
Well, so far so good for Juan Monroy as far as getting back after it here. He stayed relatively calm, and he'll pick off as many positions as he can by the end of the race.
Goodwin up to 25th. He started pretty much in the back. Assman's worked his way up to 26th. And Esteban finds himself way back at 27th. So a tough start by Esty. Kurt Chandler back at 29th. Chuck Carter at 30th. Solberger back at 31st. Looks like he's got a little bit of damage on the side of that Camaro. And John Wilson running back at 32nd.
Yeah, as you run through the field, I'm watching one heck of a battle here over the ninth place here. Chris Moses and David Canavan putting pressure on Kevin Miller, but you know what? The guy's holding up well to the pressure of these veterans behind.
Following Marty and David Poole around. Man, these guys have already put quite a bit of distance between the third place car of Nick Johnston. It looks like he's gone around Aaron Parsons for third. That's exactly what Nick needs to do.
Yeah, you mentioned that battle for the lead. I think Marty Urin is closing in on David Poole. I would have figured him, David Poole rather, to have a bit of pace on Marty Urin, but Marty's steadily closing and really looking to make a pass here in the next lap or two.
Canavan with a big lurch. Hangs on to it. This battle for 13th through 9th with Marecki, Kevin Miller, Canavan, Moses, and Marco Conti right there as well. Canavan really trying to do whatever he can to get by Moses. This battle is pretty intense.
Yeah, and as mentioned, Kevin Miller has stood up to this pressure very well the last couple, 3 laps from these guys behind.
Miller doing a good job defending that inside line and hangs on to it. Great job by Kevin.
Yeah, indeed, he's succumbed to driving in his mirrors a little bit. He was even pressuring Eric Marecki a little bit for that position. As we see him go at it there.
Moses had a look on the inside. Now Canavan taking a look on the inside of Moses. Is he going to stick it in there? He does. Is he going to make it work? Nope. Well, he may. Oh, Chris has the advantage in the next corner. Oh, this pass could last. This pass attempt could last the whole lap. Wow. Moses with a bit of a lurch. Meanwhile, Conti just hanging back there. Ooh, and Chris!
Oh!
Moses takes it off track. Wow.
It almost looked like he got lost as to what corner he was on, Al.
I think you're right.
He just went in there too hot.
He did. It looked like he gave it a little too much throttle and it just drove it off track.
Yeah, a pretty rare move from a veteran like that.
Meanwhile, with all that battling, Marecki, advantage to Marecki as he picked up a little time on Kevin Miller. Tell you what, Marecki has shown some pace here in this season, but his results have not been to his liking. He's had a couple DNFs, got into it with his teammate last week at Hockenheim. Definitely a big no-no.
Yeah, that was unfortunate to see. I think Eric Marecki is just one of those guys that needs to make sure he's got plenty of laps in before the race. and it's hard for all of us to get as many laps in as we'd like sometimes. So good to see him out there and turning good laps. Hopefully he'll continue to do so and improve those results.
Meanwhile, Rich Roman's running in 14th. Look, not many guys around him. Pretty quiet race for him thus far. Gup Douglas up to 15th in the points. Gup looking pretty good in that BMW, just what he has to do for those team points.
Yeah, and Mike Monahan has started to come up here to John Houston, who had a great start to this first stint here, but John Houston there in 7th, but being pressured now by Mike Monahan.
Tiago Canola all over the back of Aaron Parsons. Battle for 4th. Canola with a huge slide. Rear wheel on that grass, but didn't lose too much time to Parsons as he gets right back on the tail. Pole continues to lead the way, with Marty Uran immediately behind. Marty not letting David run away with this thing just yet.
You know, I was just taking a look at timing and scoring here to check on the progress of Juan Monroyal, but I do not see him on timing and scoring. I think Juan may be out of this race, which would be horrible to see.
Yeah, very disappointing night for Juan. He had quite a bit of pace here tonight. So Long also out of tonight's race. David Poole's teammate. I know Sol was a little bit under the weather last week, and maybe suffering again this week. So hope to see you back, Sol.
Yeah, and I echo that. Oh, I was just going to mention Christian Hamilton and John Houston fighting here with Tiago Canola. Unfortunately, Christian Hamilton and Tiago Canola have come together. Tiago Canola was sent off track out.
He's back on and has fallen back to 9th. Wow. So did you catch that, Brad? How did that come about?
Well, it looked like it was a pass attempt, and there was just some contact in the corner. It didn't look like anything too overly aggressive, Al, so we'll just have to see what comes of that, if anything. But no comment as of yet. It looked relatively clean from what I could see.
Marco up into the top 10. Chris Moses, after his off, he's running in 11th. And Roman has worked his way up to 12th. Kevin Miller has fallen back to 13th. Not sure what happened to Kevin. And Marecki as well, back at 14th. Gup Douglas remains at 15th. Jack Ivey in the points, running at 16th. He's got his hands full. He's got as Jack goes off, he's got Savoy all over the back of him, Salem Montgomery Jr. Now Simon Goodwin just made the pass. So Jack back to 19th.
Yeah, I hate to break in on that action, but I just have to give an update here at the front. Nick Johnston has caught that Marty Uren, David Poole battle, so rapidly becoming a three-way battle for the lead here.
On board with Nick now. Gap between Poole and Uren is about a second.
Well, Christian Hamilton is just putting in a stellar race. He and Tiago Canola had a little bit of contact there. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but beyond that, Christian Hamilton just having a fantastic race, running in the top 5. John Houston just behind in 6th, and Mike Monahan in 7th. Great run going by these guys.
Yeah, Christian really doing a fine job tonight, outshining his teammate, Canavan. Mikey Monahan now all over the back of Houston. Houston with a tough DNF last week at Hockenheim. Got into the tire wall and destroyed the Viper. Had he gotten some points, they probably would have taken over the team standings lead. But
yeah, indeed, I would think so, Al. And of course, they're looking good here tonight. Seems like John Houston is coming to grips with that Viper. It's good to see. They'll be a threat down the stretch if that's the case. Well, working lap 7 now, the schedule 28. We're halfway through our first stint here. Temperatures could be a problem for some of these guys, really trying to loosen it up to get around these high sweeping corners. Some of these guys could be experiencing some rear tire degradation here before too long.
Well, for a guy who said the Mercedes was not good around here, Mike's really doing a fine job. Mike having a look on the inside? Nope, thinks better of it. It's about 17 minutes into this one. Currently working lap 8.
Yeah, looking at timing and scoring here, I can see Christian Hamilton definitely has pace on 4th place Aaron Parsons. I think Christian Hamilton will be able to catch up to Aaron here in the next lap or two and really have to go at him.
Mikey Monahan with a ton of air. Saw daylight under Mikey's car. That was amazing.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily have expected, Al, but kind of looking through some of the times here, the times have been really inconsistent. I would have expected these guys to be a little bit more consistent on their lap times, but obviously the technical nature of the track is really kind of playing havoc, and the track length as well. We're seeing some pretty wide variance in times, and these gaps are opening and closing pretty quickly between some of these drivers as they're making some small mistakes out there on track.
I'll tell you what, this guy's really coming around here. Salem in the points currently. The more time he spends here racing with us, the more he improves. So Salem looking really good in this Jag here tonight. Finished in the points last week at GT1. It's his first full season here at NAGP.
Yeah, basically a relative newcomer here, so that is great to see, and he has shown good pace. I tell you what else he's shown is the ability to be able to keep it on track and stay pretty consistent out there. That's key.
Greg Myers currently in 22nd. He's got Kurt Chandler just ahead of him. A little surprised to see Greg as far back as he is. Not sure if he's had any run-ins with anybody. He's had some tough luck in a few races this season, but Greg, expect him to be, as we mentioned in other broadcasts, Greg, not the best qualifier, but makes up a ton of positions during the races. So expect Greg to be up into the points by the time the night's done.
Yeah, definitely usually the case. To have a quick update, Mike Monahan has taken a position from John Houston. Mike Monahan now up to 6th, and he is in a pitch battle not only with John Houston, but with David Canavan running 8th just behind those guys. Yeah, these gaps really opening up and closing down. We mentioned that Marty Uren had slipped back a little bit off David Poole for that second spot. I see there's some action there.
Houston had a huge slide into turn 1, and Canavan looking to take advantage, and he does. He makes the pass. So nice job by Canavan.
Yeah, Houston's lap time pace just now dropping off a little bit, so I think perhaps whatever they did to loosen that Viper up, it's starting to hurt them a little bit, and that's also allowing Christian Hamilton to close up on Aaron Parsons there for 4th. So
Houston
both
goes
those Vipers
off.
Perhaps.
So Houston goes off. Canola gets by, and now Moses is right on the tail.
Hang in there, John. Just make it to your stop.
We know Canavan's got some good pace. He was very quick in practice, just struggled a bit in qualifying.
Yeah, indeed, and still turning times in the mid 04s, which is a good lap time for David Canavan, depending on how close he is to the guy in front.
Moses finds himself in the top 10 after that off early on.
Al, not sure what happened, but I just saw in timing and scoring that Marty Uren and Nick Johnston are in a pitched battle. Marty Uren had that.
Oh, and Nick gets by Marty. Marty had a bit of a lurch. Doesn't look like he's too happy with Nick as he's flashing the lights. He just caught the end of that. Not sure if Nick just threw it in there or if he tried to take advantage of a year-end mistake there.
Yeah, I actually didn't see it on the screen, but all I saw was a timing and scoring flash. Those guys went back and forth there rapidly, and then you saw the end result, what we've got now. I think Marty might have picked up a little bit of lag here or there. I don't know if that played into that at all.
Yeah, he is looking a little choppy, actually. So that could have been a factor there.
So as mentioned, Christian Hamilton now well and truly on Aaron Parsons' bumper here. I think both those Vipers have been struggling here.
On board with Hamilton.
What a feather in the cap would be for Christian Hamilton if he could find a way past Aaron's Viper.
Absolutely. Definitely looks like that Viper, well, both Vipers are really starting to fade here late. Working almost 24 minutes now, so another lap or two before these guys come into pit. You may see the Vipers actually pit early. Keep an eye on those guys. Well, Brad, I didn't really have much time to run any laps here, but I know you did. And how did the tires hold up for some of these cars?
Well, in some of the limited testing I did and asking around the paddock a little bit, the tire wear is not too bad. It's going to depend a little bit on how these guys set up their cars again to try to get best speed through some of these sweeping corners, but the tire wear is going to be about average, a little bit higher wear rate, but not excessive.
Yeah, Christian Hamilton really looking good. Running some very clean lines. nearing all he can handle right now. Mikey Monahan in P6. He's got Canavan still all over the back of him. Canavan. Mercedes may be struggling as well here late.
Yeah, that's a real possibility, Al. I can tell you this, Mike Monahan is not the easiest guy to get past. So David Canavan's got his hands full. Of course, Thiago Canola coming up on that fight over 6th place. Oh, I just saw Eric Marecki time in with a DNF. Sorry, Al. It's like Eric Marecki's out of this one after such a strong run early. Too bad.
As we mentioned earlier, he shows good pace early, but hopefully he gets that figured out, that situation sorted out, because he can actually make some headway here in the point standings. Yeah, we got Canola now running in 8th, as you mentioned. He's caught up to these guys. Let's see how the guys out front are doing. Well, the battle now is for 2nd place, as Marty Uren is all over the back of Nick. Ooh. Looks like...
You know, I think this is really helping out David Poole. I think both Marty Uren and Nick Johnston do have a little bit of pace on David Poole, but their continuing fight has continued to give him some breathing room coming up to his first stop.
So Wathen's struggles continues. Not sure what's going on with him this season, but he is out of the race as that Mercedes is destroyed.
Sorry, Hal. Christian Hamilton has gotten past Aaron Parsons for the 4th spot. I think Aaron may have made a little mistake. I didn't see it, but in any event, Christian Hamilton up to 4th.
Hamilton on a charge. Man, really putting some distance between him and Parsons already.
Yeah, and we expected to see the gaps open up a little bit, but looking through the field, there's fights all over the place, all the way back to Laurent and Gup Douglas there, fighting tooth and nail. Esteban Palacio, Salem Montgomery Jr. fighting for the 15th spot. Kevin Miller, Rich Roman for 12th. They're all over the place. So individual battles going on.
While up front, Marty continues to try and chase down Nick Johnston, who's in the 2nd spot. And Marty, wow, heavy on the brakes going into that final corner. David Poole into the pits. Nick Johnston's going to assume the lead. Hamilton
yeah, David's
out.
Been turning some...
Hamilton stays out. Parsons pulls it in.
I was going to say, David Poole's at times have been extremely consistent, with the exception of the last couple laps, so I think he was definitely due for some tires. Ooh, everybody's coming.
Mikey Monahan really slow into the pit lane, and Canavan almost overtook him heading into the pits. While everybody's coming in. Chris Moses, John Houston, Marco Conti staying out, Kevin Miller in. Roman stays out. Sammy Goodwood now up to 14th. He started near the back. He's staying out. Montgomery stays out. And Esteban staying out. Esteban really got a lot of damage on that Mercedes. Go ahead, Brett. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, given the length of these laps, David Poole starting first, while Nick Johnston and Marty Uren staying out, could give David Poole a little bit of an advantage as he works those fresher tires for a lap or two before those guys come in.
There's a very long pit lane.
Short in, long out, Al. Yeah, that's right.
Jack Ivey running at 14th. Parsons rejoins at 15th. Kurt Chandler right behind. He's running at 16th. Kurt has yet to pit. Looks like so yeah, Parsons gets out ahead of Canavan, who's in 18th. And Chris Moses has jumped ahead of Mike Monahan.
That's going to make Chris Moses happy. Marty, you're into the pits, Al.
John Houston with the move on Chuck Carter. Ooh, Salem's out. He's out of the race.
Tough break for Salem.
Yep. Rally into the pit lane.
Yeah, so I'm watching Christian Hamilton continue to circulate around the track here. He's not in this position too often, and his lap times not dropping off too substantially, but he's not going to want to spend too much time out on track if he plans on taking tires here. As some of the guys in front of him have been pitting here.
Nick Johnston is still out on track. Gonna have to wait and see if he decides to bring it in here.
Yeah, I'm seeing all the last lap times of the guys that have stayed out really fall off all of a sudden here. So either pushing a little too hard, trying to make a good in lap, or just the tires coming off here. I'm not sure which, but those times, these guys could be hurt by these times staying out on track.
So we've seen quite a bit this season. Nick falter a bit in the pit lane, making some whether it be trying to get the car fired back up after his stop or taking too much fuel or what have you. He's probably lost out on a couple wins here already because of that, unfortunately for him.
Oh, well, no. Yeah, well, no question. That coupled with some of Tiago's perfect strategies, Nick would have just had to have been perfect. But like you say, not quite able to get it done.
So Nick dives into the pit lane. So we'll have to see how Nick comes out in relation to, as Hamilton stays out, in relation to David Poole. Poole had about a 2-second gap on Johnston and Marty prior to the pit stop. Tiago stays out, currently in second.
Yeah, and I've been watching that, Al, here on lap 15 now. The first pit stops came on lap 13. The possibility Tiago could do another double stint of these tires here, but you know what? In this case, I think it could be a change of strategy, given the nature of some of his troubles. He may have switched this up on the fly.
I think you're right there, Brad. I was just going to say that probably going into this one, he probably would have not done what we have seen in the past few races, but looks like he's got to take a gamble here. It's worth it. So Poole beats out Johnston and Marty as well by a long margin. Wow. So Nick with another long stop falls back to will be third after the pit stop cycle through. Well, depending on what Tiago does as well.
Yeah, Marty Urin got in and out pretty smartly, so that battle will resume for the virtual lead between those guys. Nick Johnston did fall a little bit back. He'll get these pit stops figured out eventually.
Oh, Greg Myers has a big lock up there at the apex. And he's lagged. Oh, he's back on there. So, but Greg has stayed out. He has yet to pit, so that's a good indication of strategy as well. So we'll keep an eye on Greg also. He's currently at 9th behind his GT1 team.
Gregory Myers, never a stranger to stretching out fuel. I'm watching another guy there in the lead at the moment, Christian Hamilton, running well before. Oh, he just now comes in.
Tiago will assume the lead.
Thiago's last lap time at 0.47, Al, very competitive. So his tires are not dropping off. I think he's definitely looking to go the rest of the way here for this one. There's no reason not to when you're running 0.47s.
Marco Conti has stayed out as well. He's currently in P2.
Yeah, Marco Conti will not be getting the same type of tire wear that Thiago Canola will be getting in that Porsche. So it'll be a tougher task for him to stay out, but he'll stretch it as far as he can.
Christian Hamilton just leaving the pit lane as David Poole and Marty Uren go by. Marty all over the back of Poole.
Christian Hamilton may get out in front of Aaron Parsons. He may retain that spot, Al.
Not going to happen.
Aaron flashes by.
And Myers gets
not
by.
even close.
Nope. So yeah, Hamilton loses a bunch of time. He may lose out to Canavan, his teammate, and he does. Wow, he's really long stop for Hamilton.
Yeah, and that was precipitated. Yeah, that was precipitated by really having some bad in laps there, Al, losing a ton of time out on track with those worn tires.
I'll have to keep an eye on Marty as he is really choppy here. Marty has had some lag issues in the past, and it looks like he's having some issues here tonight as well. As Laurent Weissman has yet to pit in that Jaguar, holding up David Poole a little bit. Actually a lot, I should say. This is a battle for position. It's allowed Nick Johnston to catch up as well, so Nick hoping Laurent stays out as long as he can. Three-way battle for the first spot. Really tight up front.
Hope we see Laurent. Hopefully he'll peel off here this lap. I would expect to see Laurent peel off this lap.
Stay out.
Well, I would expect to see him give way to these guys that
Parsons
are much faster.
makes a huge mistake. And in the final corner, didn't lose any time though. Wow, as these two, this battle up front rages on.
Yeah, Laurent needs to get out of the way of this battle for the virtual lead. There we go, thank you. Marco Conti into the pits, Al.
What a battle for the lead.
Well, I'm not sure it's going to be for the lead, Al.
Well, that's...
Thiago Canola is...
yeah, we forget that Canola's leading this race, but what we think is the virtual lead.
Yeah, Thiago's still turning very good times. That pit lane is long, so we'll have to see in this one.
Nick Johnston having a look on the inside of Marty. It's going to be tough for Nick as Marty's really chopping out there. Hopefully it doesn't cause any... hopefully he doesn't have a major lockup. That will be bad for Nick if he's right behind him.
Yeah, we saw Nick lay off Marty Uren pretty far off his buffer, but now that it's really tightened up here, he's got to take a chance and get up there when he's got a chance for the outright lead. So. Or outright position on David Poole.
Poole and Uren side by side in the final corner. Looks like Marty's going to take it. Maybe not. Poole hangs on, so great bit of driving by those two. Marty may have the run going into turn 1. As Dave looks on the inside. Marty with a huge slide. Looks like Dave might take advantage. Incredible stuff here, folks. As Johnston looks on the inside of David Poole.
Yeah, the more these guys battle, the more it's going to benefit Tiago Canola. That lead now up to 50 seconds. Watch this battle. I've got some updates a little further back, but I know that the...
Ooh, Marty runs a little bit wide, but hangs on to it. I think David Poole and Nick Johnston can see that Marty's lagging a little bit. As Nick has a look on the outside of Poole. Poole hangs on to it.
Well, if nothing else, these guys are doing a great job running around each other, and with some question marks as to what may happen with Marty Urin. So these guys are doing a fantastic job running clean and running hard. What a battle.
Incredible stuff here, folks. Marty got by.
Esteban Palacio.
Go ahead.
Has retired with an engine. Sorry, Al.
Ouch.
Esteban Palacio out. Okay, well that battle's cooled somewhat real quick. I'll let you know that Chris Moses and Christian Hamilton are in a fight over 8th place. And Chris Moses has gotten by for 8th after a pitched battle. Those two have gotten past Gregory Myers, who is now in 10th, and John Houston runs just behind in 11th.
Canola's lead is just over 50 seconds. It is a seriously long pit lane. I mean, for him to get in and out and retain that lead, it's going to be a challenge. He's going to have
I promise, Al, next event. I promise next event that I'll get some in and out times and those delta time in the pits. I knew I should have.
Guys battling for second by the lap car of Chuck Carter without issue. Man, Nick Johnston really's had a lot of looks inside and outside as Marty has another big lag.
Yeah, looking at time and scoring here, Al, I'm not sure if David Canavan was out behind Aaron Parsons, but in any event, those two are running very close on track. David Canavan is quite a bit more speed than Aaron Parsons lap to lap, so I wasn't sure why they were running close, but...
Well, meanwhile, Laurent is still running out there in 5th, has yet to pit. Really hasn't, I mean, he's lost quite a bit of time to those guys up front, but well, as I say that, he dives into the pit lane.
Yeah, I think overall this will cost Laurent, but I believe on the pit stop rotation when I started cycling through, is somewhere around 17th, just out of the points. I think he'll drop back to about the same place.
Greg Myers currently in 11th, having a big battle with John Houston for that 10th spot.
Yeah, those guys still battling hard. It should be noted, Al, that our track temperatures have somewhat skyrocketed here. Now 118 degrees Fahrenheit out on track with 101 degree ambient temperature, so it's starting to get pretty warm out there.
Tiago has lost a bit of time to Marty now. was 51 seconds. It's dropped down to 46.
Yeah, Tiago's last lap in the 06 range. That's the first time it's dropped off for him there. These lap times may start to substantially drop off, particularly as this track really heats up. If he did change up on the fly, Tiago Canola that is, it probably wasn't the worst strategy in the world there for him, however. Having some problems and running a bit behind the leaders might have been a good gamble in any event.
So Marty has pulled away a little bit from David Poole and Nick. So,
yeah, they're not going to be too unhappy to see that, actually.
Thought for a moment there we had an engine failure, but it looks like it was just Marty hard on the brakes there. So Canavan now up to P5. He's gotten past Aaron Parsons. And Chris Moses worked his way past Christian Hamilton for that 7th spot.
Yeah, Christian Hamilton came out a bit more off the pace than we saw that he had coming into the stops. So maybe kind of where he was running out on track, it got to him. He started feeling the pressure a little bit, but I suspect he'll settle down and maybe make a run on Chris. He may have more speed than Chris.
Simon Goodwin running in 12th. I do not believe he's pitted yet. I may be wrong. Truman running around
Simon.
13th.
Sorry, Al. Simon Goodwin has made a pit stop, and you know what? He's turning some pretty good lap times out there as well.
Yeah, he's running in P12. Hey, get into the top 10. Potentially, well, he'll be 11th, I suspect, when Greg Myers decides to pit. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, certainly Greg coming in just to take fuel will advance that position, no question. But going back to Simon Goodwin really quickly, the guy started dead last, and he's had a quiet race, but suddenly finds himself running near the top 10. It's been a great run for him.
Well, Nick Johnston and David Poole continue to do battle. Nick doing everything he can to get by David.
David Poole also extremely difficult pass to make out there on track, so Nick Johnston is doing everything he can, but coming up just a little short so far.
Ooh, as they get a little side by side, not sure if they touched, but Nick was heavy on the brakes, lost a bit of time to Poole. I gotta hand it to Nick. This is his first full season here at NAGP, and he's really driven well around close to people. You don't see him, taking any unnecessary risks to jeopardize himself or anybody else. So,
well, really, all those guys did a fantastic job. Marty Wren, David Poole, and Nick Johnston. Getting held up there a little bit. They did a fantastic job. I mean, these guys are absolutely on the edge and fighting for what very well could be the win of this race. So, under the highest pressure and running so close, just fantastic job by all those guys.
Got just under 10 minutes to go in this one. So it looks like it is going to end on time. We're working at lap 23.
Yeah, we're closing out the laps here, Al. I just see Christian Hamilton did get back by Chris Moses there for that 7th spot.
And Hamilton pulling away, so I'm not sure if Chris made a mistake or what. John Houston in the top 10 as well. Mikey Monahan running in 10th. Rick Myers up to 11th. Goodwin running in 12th. Roman back in 13th. Roman has had a pretty quiet race. He's got Marco Conti coming up on him now. He's running in 14th. Kevin Miller in the points at 15th. Laurent Vassman is... Laurent may have just taken fuel only, because he's come out and running in 16th in the points. Not sure what his in and out time was, but
it looks like Laurent has taken tires. Last lap time in 0.49. He wouldn't be doing that if he hadn't taken tires. So it's a good lap for Laurent. That's his best yet.
Douglas just out of the points, currently in 17th. Brian Story 18th. Kurt Chandler just recovering from a spin. He's having a rough night here, currently at 19th. Jack Ivey back at 20th. Chuck Carter 21st. John Solberger currently at 22nd. Sam Rolfe back at 23rd. You know, Sam, just to touch on Sam real quick, he really had a great start of the season at Road America, qualified very well, and has struggled since.
Yeah, well, just haven't really seen Sam on the server too much, so he may be having trouble getting the laps that he needs to get in to run as well as he'd like. Thiago Canola into the pits, Al.
Into the pit.
Sorry, go ahead and finish your rundown.
John Wilson, 24th. Rally's out of the race.
Yeah, I was just going to say that Thiago Canola is most likely due in soon. His teammate had just pitted in front of him, so I think Thiago Canola is not quite going to get it done this time, but you know, we'll see where he comes out. I'm kind of curious.
All right, oh, he's away. Marty now entering the last corner. Thiago may do this.
Not this time, Al. His pace is just going to be way too slow. But
Marty
he
just
may have
entering
saved
the front
himself.
straight.
I was going to say, Al, he could very well have picked up some positions as a result of.
And he's away.
Of,
Nick, well, he rejoins in the 4th spot. So, and right behind this battle between Johnston and David Poole. Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he did switch up that strategy, he's going to hugely benefit for sure. He got away from David Canavan, Aaron Parsons, guys that he was behind on their pit stop rotation. So I think this is a good move for him.
So Marty now takes over the lead of this race. Battle now is for that 2nd spot. Actually, it's for that 1st spot, because these guys aren't far off. Marty, just about a second off. He's like bobble for Marty. These guys are going to take advantage.
No, and now that they have a clear idea that Thiago Canola will come out behind them, they will have pace on him, and so this 3-way battle is for this win. Boy, here we go.
David Poole having a look on the inside. Ooh, and he gets into the side of Marty. Marty's fallen back. David Poole has taken over the lead.
Yeah, not quite as clean as we saw in previous laps when they were around each other that time, Al, but that, of course, allows Thiago Canola to slip into that podium spot for now. I think Marty Urin will have a go at him before this race is over, but in any event, Thiago Canola still up there after that long stop, that long run.
Exactly. Now all Canola needs is for Nick and David Poole to get into it with one another. He's going to be gifted a potential victory here at Slovakia. Nick having a look on the outside of Poole. And he gets it done. Wow. Nick now leading this race.
I think Nick is going to have pace on David Poole as well. In fact, David Poole wants to get back in front of him. He may have to do it right now through some of these twisties.
Absolutely.
That first sector's, yeah, that first sector is going to be a little bit more difficult on David Poole.
David having a look on the inside. Nope.
This could be it for Nick. He could finally get it done.
Let's see how he handles this late pressure here. Leading late in GT2. Potentially his first ever NAGP victory. I'll tell you what, Nick is a kart racer and has a lot of experience racing for real, so this is probably nothing for him, but as he
well, a win's a win.
a win is a win, as he is gapping himself over David Poole, and look who's lurking right there. Tiago Canola, not too far off Poole.
Yeah, Marty Wren, I think, has kind of closed it down a little bit here. After that contact, I think he's maybe tried to push a little too hard there for a lap and decided just to back off and go ahead and cruise it on into 4th place here tonight.
Yeah, he seems like he's really off the pace, unless he's suffering from some kind of engine wear or something along those lines. He sounds like he's short shifting it. Maybe he's light on fuel, who knows? Meanwhile, Canavan's closing the gap on Marty.
Yeah, so it looks like we'll have just 1 or 2 laps here left. I see the conditions, the forecast has actually just called for rain just now. Don't think we'll see it, but...
It has.
That would have really switched things up a little bit. It does look like the skies are darkening up, but should be clear for these drivers the rest of the way.
Let's see, another lap or 2 here. We got about 1.5 minutes left in this one. Wow, it's really getting cloudy.
Yeah, getting cloudy quick. I just saw Chris Moses run wide. John Houston is only 4 seconds or so back. I think Moses will be safe, but maybe gave John Houston a little bit of hope there for a second. Mike Monahan is right on John Houston's bumper, however, for 9th.
Mark O'Connie has gotten by Rich Roman for that 12th spot. Greg Myers in the points at 16th. Nick coming up on some lap traffic.
I was watching John Houston and Mike Monahan. John Houston had a humongous slide, and Mike Monahan is applying a pretty serious amount of pressure here for that 9th spot.
Last lap.
Yeah, 1 more to go here, it looks like, Al.
Unless it starts raining buckets.
I wonder if those raindrops will start to fall a little bit, though, and kind of make these guys just pause it for a second.
It's Nick coming up on some lap traffic here. And, Kurt Chandler. Looks like Dave Rowley.
David Poole's had a problem. He's in the sand. David Poole's just taking a DNF.
He's out. Canola. That brings Canola up to P2. Wow, what happened? Canavan's gotten past your end. I'm not sure what happened there.
I'm wondering if it might be fuel related, Al.
Wow.
Oh, heartbreak for David Poole. What a great run he was having.
What a stunning turn
Wow.
of events. Oh, that battle early on, he could have burned all that fuel. Thiago finds himself in P2.
Yeah, second place.
And Canavan up into the podium as well. Wow.
Marty Wren, I think Marty Wren is out of fuel or has suffered an engine failure. Marty Wren parked on the side of the track, Al.
Well, there you have it.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable is right. And Nick Johnston takes his first NAGP GT2 victory. Unbelievable job by Nick. Canola will finish second. Canavan's going to take third. Great job by Canavan. Parsons runs wide in the last corner. And that's going to allow Hamilton to close the gap, but it's just not close enough. So, wow, Parsons is going to take fourth, but uncharacteristic mistakes. Hamilton fifth. Moses is going to take sixth. Mikey Monahan gets by Houston for seventh. Houston takes eighth. Simon Goodwin's going to take ninth from starting from the back. Tremendous run by Simon. Marco Connie and Rich Roman battling for that 10th spot. Marco. It looks like he's going to hang on to it. Roman's going to take 11th. Kevin Miller's going to take 12th. Great run by Kevin. Laurent 13th. Greg Myers up to 14th. He's got Gup Douglas all over the back of him as they enter that back straight. Before that, ooh, Gup! Oh, nearly gets into the back of Greg. Manages to hang on to it. Greg hangs on for 14th. Gup to 15th. And Marty out.
Yeah, Marty will be credited as the last car on that lead lap, even though he's not going to finish. So that will be 1 point for Marty Urin. But unfortunately, those guys, him and David Poole, having that trouble after such a fantastic battle. Nick Johnston coming away with his first NAGP victory. Congratulations to Nick. I'm sure he's been yelling here some. Aaron Parsons and teammate John Houston will take a commanding lead in the team championship with another 4 races to go. Those guys will take the driver's seat there, and a fantastic race. Battles throughout, action late. Great race, Al.
I'll tell you what, those guys dropping out really benefited Parsons, as he doesn't lose as many points to Nick as he could have. So, incredible.
Boy, you ain't kidding. It looks like it's going to be pretty neck and neck between Aaron Parsons and Nick Johnston going into Oosterschleben next week, a track these guys should know pretty well.
And so,
Hey, Nick, it's Al here and Brad in the broadcast booth. Congratulations on your first victory.
Thank you very much, Al. I mean, I knew one day I'd get this right, but I didn't think with the extra 70 kills that I'd even have a chance here tonight. The crew in the pits finally did a great job and got me out right by the guys, and with some good luck, we ended up on top tonight.
Well, you finally got that monkey off your back. Incredible battle with yourself and David Poole and Marty there near the end. How was that from your perspective?
It was absolutely nuts, to say the least, Al. I mean, I was only fastest and had the opportunity to pass in that hairpin after the long right, because I would just drive through the right hand and get a good exit out of there. And that was the only spot I can get next to Poole, and it only allowed me on the outside. the only other chance I had is when he made mistakes, and one time he made a mistake coming onto the long front stretch, and I got up alongside of him, and I didn't brake till I saw Jesus, and was able to get ahead of him on the outside of the one. And I mean, I was happy with the podium, but man, crazy race.
Well, it's looking pretty good for you here in your first full NAGP season here running the GT2 class. It looks like you and Aaron Parsons are going to be neck to neck headed into Osterschleben next week. How do you like your chances down the stretch?
Well, we keep adding weight to those poor panels. I believe we'll be at the maximum, or maybe even more, into the next race. So, I don't know, it's just going to be tough to keep the tires on it. I'm going to have to just try to be consistent and not let bad nights happen to me. I mean, just as long as I get top fives, I think we have a good chance at it. I know Aaron, he's stacking on weight as well recently. I think he gets to take some off after tonight, but his Viper is hard on tires just like mine. So, it's good to be against someone with a car that has the same characteristics as yours. I'm probably not going to be at a disadvantage anywhere, that's for sure.
Well, congratulations, Nick, again on your victory, and enjoy it tonight and celebrate. So, good job, and we'll see you next week.
Oh, I'll be celebrating, all right. Thanks, guys. Great broadcast, and I'll see you guys next Monday. Or next Monday's the break, so the Monday after, huh?
You got it. See you then. So there you have it, Nick. You can really tell he's excited about that one. Wow, great finish for him. It's great to see a new guy there up on top.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I don't know if you can call it a changing of the guard for some of these NAGP stalwarts. I'm not sure right offhand the amount of combined championships of Aaron Parsons and Chris Moses, but it's certainly well over 10, and no less than 6 or 7 here just in the GT2 class. So these veterans are going to have some work in front of them, battling some of this new blood.
Well, we're off next week, and we'll be back in 2 weeks from Oschersleben, and it's going to be our first run there, believe it or not, in GT2. So hopefully you guys can get with us next week. I'm sorry, in 2 weeks. On August 13th, we'll be back for round 8, and look forward to that one. And Brad, thanks again for what was actually a pretty exciting race.
You bet. Thank you, Al.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and see you in a couple weeks.